Thank you for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the five love languages and how we can apply it to our lives, not just during deployment with our partners, but even use it with other family members, our children, even just people in our lives. So, a little bit to start, the five love languages. It's a book written by Gary Chapman, and he has different ones. There's one for military couples, there's one for singles, there's ones for men, there's ones for women. So, lots of different choices, but they all cover the same broad topic of these different languages that we speak of how we show and communicate our love with others. So, when we grow up, as we're growing up, our families we share different love languages with each other. For example, growing up myself, I used a lot of quality time as well as acts of service was how we communicated our love for each other growing up. Other people, maybe it's the giving of gifts or hearing those words of affirmation, not just I love you, but things to really make you feel the love, know that they appreciate you. Maybe it's about your work performance or your personality traits, or you're really looking good for the day. And something that we need to be aware of is when we grow up, we meet other people who are raised differently and they have different ways that they communicate love. So when we're not able to communicate efficiently or be able to speak our partner or our children or our parents different love languages, even our coworkers or good friends, sometimes they aren't able to hear or feel that love that we're trying to communicate. So today we're going to break down some of the different points for each of the love languages, and hopefully I can provide you with some tips and ideas for you to get creative and be able to communicate love to those that we care about. So our first one is words of affirmation. So these are some of the things, if you get a thrill from receiving compliments or even unexpected praise, you like when others say they care about you or appreciate having you in their lives, and you love feeling understood and receiving recognition for a job well done. If these really speak true to you, this could be your love language. So, how do we show these words of affirmation? We really want to be authentic. You want to be genuine with what we're sharing. We also really want to be empathetic. So, we want to understand their emotions and be able to kind of relate to them. Also, really show your appreciation. If they do something you really appreciate, let them know. Don't hold on to that. Let them know. Even trying to remember to say, I love you more, even writing out your affirmations. So, for those of you who may be about to go through deployment, I thought this was a great idea of writing them on little cards or even sticky notes and folding them up and putting them in a baggie. So that way, if you're having a bad day or your sailor or your partner or whoever, they can open this up and get words of affirmation from you, even though they aren't there with you. And I don't know about you, but it's always great to hear somebody brag about your strengths. And it's even better when you hear later down the line. So if somebody says, "Oh yeah, your spouse was saying, what a kind heart and hard worker you are," and was sharing how proud they are of you and your accomplishments, maybe you got a promotion, it really makes you feel good. So it's nice to hear others brag about you and talk about your strengths. So these are just different ways that we can show words of affirmation, and it's more than just saying I love you. Quality time. So if these ring true for you, this could be one of your love languages. So you feel lonely when you don't have enough time with your partner. Spending time together is incredibly important to you. So it's more so than just words, touch, gifts, or even acts of service. That quality time or that time together is more important. When you don't spend enough quality time with your partner, you may be turned off sexually. Distractions or feeling like someone isn't listening can be especially hurtful. You put a lot of emphasis on making your schedules work and making the time special. And please keep in mind throughout this, you may have more than one love language, and over time, your love language may change depending on what stage of life or what stage of deployment or different things that are going on. Certain love languages will mean more to you. So, how do we show this quality time? Especially in today's world when everything is so quick and fast around us and there's so much technology and connection to everything. So, really taking the time to have an uninterrupted and focused conversation. So, if you would like help with this, we do offer at our Fleet and Family location, we have a 20-question game. It's geared more towards return and reunion from deployments, but there are questions on there that you can use for any time, any stage of life that you're in. I also recommend I have them from Amazon. I just order those chat packs and I love to use them for dinner parties or just, if we want to sit and have a deeper conversation and just really focused on each other, whoever I'm communicating with. Focused attention, really paying attention to them, acknowledging their body language, making eye contact, being engaged in the conversation. One on one time, really important. They just want to have time with you. And sometimes it's really not what you're doing, it's the meaning behind it, the effort that you're doing something together. Some quality time that I really enjoy with my family is just when my mom and we could be reading our own books or not even paying attention to each other, but we're taking the time to be present together and sit together. And to me, that means the most. Leaving the phones in the other room or even leaving them at home. Phones nowadays can be so distracting, and with your smartwatches always getting the alerts or notifications, you have a new call, you have a new text, a new email. So, really trying to leave the distractions out, taking time either for an adventure together, even a date night, just having that quality time, maybe reading a storybook with your children without the distraction of electronics. Receiving gifts. So, if the following rings true for you, this could be your love language. Shopping, whether online or in stores, is more of a treat for them than a task. They always have an arsenal of wrapping paper and gift bags for all occasions. They have a tough time getting rid of gifts they've received, even decades later. They pride themselves in picking the perfect personalized gifts for every occasion. And when traveling, they always leave room in their luggage for souvenirs to give others. Something that this makes me think of also is just a reminder sometimes the languages that we hear aren't always the ones that we speak. So I have a family member who is really great at giving gifts. That's how she shares her love with everybody in the family. She takes all this time to really put in the thought, get a meaningful gift, and give it to them. But to speak love to her, she prefers quality time or hearing those words of affirmation. So sometimes our languages are different. It's just about us trying to understand for ourselves how do we communicate and how do we hear it, and how do those around us hear love and speak love. So, how do we show receiving gifts? How do we show love with this? So put thoughtfulness into gifts. Think of something that either makes you think of them or just reminds you of them. I always tell my spouse, I don't need a fancy gift. You could buy me socks with the face of like our dog's face on it. I want you to see something that makes you think of me. And to me, that's more meaningful. Even if it's just a greeting card that you said, hey, this really reminded me of you, and something special. So it has that thought and meaning behind it. Also, making them personal, trying to pick up maybe on subtle hints that the person has, or you see somewhere in their life that they could use a gift to help make it easier. So, really making it personalized. Also, don't forget souvenirs. So, a lot of times when we travel, just picking up little magnets or things like that is a helpful way to share these gifts. Don't forget gift giving occasions. This is really big. So don't forget birthdays, anniversaries, things like that. Anything that has a special meaning for you that is a typical gift giving occasion, even Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparents' Day. This is an important time. They want to make sure that this is a gift giving occasion. Small and sweet count too. Some of those are, to me, some of the smaller gifts have been some of the most meaningful. Different things, depending, maybe it's even something passed down as a gift from the family, or just something small and easy. Sweet as always counts. So lots of different ways to share this love language. Acts of service. So if acts of service is your love language, here are some signs that it might be. It's important to you that your significant other walks the walk rather than talks the talk. You frequently desire help, but you refrain from asking for it out of fear of seeming needy. You always appreciate what others do for you, and you never forget to say thank you. You depend on yourself above others, but you also value the support a partner can offer. You would like to be able to rely on your partner to take care of day-to-day duties. So how do we show this acts of service? So we really want to pay attention to the small things. So little things that maybe our partner doesn't always like doing, or maybe they just need assistance. Maybe there's a lot of laundry for the week, so you help them out. Even though that's their main chore or their main task at home, helping them out with that. Or maybe if you see they usually have, maybe they really like pineapple and they were going to go to the grocery store, but you were there and you just happened to pick up the things that they needed. So pineapple for the week. Just a small example of it. Think about the things your partner doesn't enjoy doing. So mine is I really don't like to sweep the floors. So when my partner and spouse ends up sweeping the floors, it really means a lot because he knows it's not one of my favorite things to do. Easy acts to help make your partner's day easier. So thinking about maybe it's just putting gas in the tank for your partner when you see their tank's getting lower, or washing their car for them, putting their laundry away, doing something that, would just make their day feel a little bit easier. Also, utilize your strengths. So, what are you good at? What are you able to help with? So, maybe you're technically savvy. Maybe your partner needs some assistance in upgrading computer software systems or something on their computer. Being able to take care of that for them and help them out without having to be asked. So, just being of service and showing them, hey, I love you. I'm here to help you out, and I want to do this as service to you because I love you. Physical touch. So here are some signs. So you're comfortable with public displays of affection, even in front of large groups. You feel alone in a relationship if you're not able to express or receive physical affection. You like to get massages on a regular basis and love the occasional foot rub. You pride yourself on being a good hugger and you like sitting close to others. You look forward to kisses and intimacy with your partner more than anything else. So, how do we show this physical touch? Physical touch, we just want to make sure we know that physical intimacy isn't always going to lead to sexual intimacy and they aren't interchangeable. So, yes, sexual intimacy includes touching, but isn't always inclusive of physical touch. So, things like giving kisses, holding hands, cuddling, having that skin to skin touching, even if it's just if you share a bed, that, back to back touching, or I always like to put my foot on my spouse even with your parents, growing up, my mother always would tickle my arm, and it was very comforting. So, skin to skin touching in that way, even rubbing your partner's back, even just the slight hand on their shoulders, or, touching their arm, any kind of physical contact. Almost, I like to think of a cat, how they enjoy being pet sometimes. I know our dog is very much like that. Will headbutt you. They want that physical contact, that physical touch. So, just a few tips and reminders. So, just like one medicine does not cure all diseases, speaking just one love language does not communicate emotionally to all people. And another thing is just because your partner, let's say their love language is physical touch, if you only focus on physical touch, you're really missing out. Using a combination of all five love languages really helps to show different forms of love and appreciation for those in our life. Another thing we want to really keep in mind is that the next time maybe our spouse or a partner or a family member criticizes us, to try to look behind the criticism and see if we can discover their love language. So typically they're trying to tell you what's important to them emotionally. So don't try not to fight the criticism, but seek to learn from it. So, loving more effectively by learning your spouse's primary love language and trying to speak it daily. And I know sometimes it's uncomfortable. So, if, say, I grew up in a family where we were more words of affirmation and physical touch was not something we spoke very often, but my partner grew up in a very physical touch, communicative love family. So, for me, it may be very difficult to start performing these acts of touching. But if we consciously are aware, hey, my partner really likes physical touch, let me make an effort to slowly add it into how I communicate with them, just by putting your hand on their knee, maybe giving them more hugs or trying to hold their hand or rub their back, as well as maybe words of affirmation. Maybe it's uncomfortable for you to be paying compliments or talking about their strengths or really making sure to take the time to point these things out. It's just about us learning to grow and be better at communicating this. We also really do not want to use our partner's love language to hurt them. So, if physical touch is your partner's love language and you don't have any form of physical touch, it can hurt even more. So, we want to be aware, especially if we're in a fight or an argument, not to take that love language away because that's how they feel our love. And it can cause a lot of tension and discourse. And we really want to try to make it easier on everybody in the relationship or in the family or in the friendship. Really do not focus only on one. I don't know about you, but gift giving is not one of my love languages, but it is really nice to get something with personal meaning or thought behind it. So, really getting to dabble in all of the different love languages. And I'm not typically a words of affirmation, but man, does it feel good when your partner or somebody you care about speaks highly of you, brags about you, really lets you know, hey, I see you really trying and you're really doing a great job, where you've really grown so much and you're really working on your leadership skills or your professional skills. It's a great feeling. And another great thing is we can really use these skills and the love languages, with anybody. So you can use it with your partner, you can use it with your parents, your in laws, your children, even your friends and coworkers. If you want to show appreciation and care for others, this is a great way to do it. And everyone has a love language. I wouldn't go as far to say all animals have a love language, but if our pet has a love language, he is definitely a physical touch. He also likes acts of service that include food. So, really try to look at the people in your life and try to see if you can decipher what their love language is. They do have the love language quiz online if you're interested in taking that. If you are unable to get it, please let us know. At Fleet and Family, we have a PDF copy that you and your spouse or whoever in your life is interested in learning more about it to take to learn what your love language is and how you communicate love. So I wish you luck and I hope you find new ways. If you have any tips or tricks, please feel free to share them in the comments. We love to hear from other people on how you show the different love languages. I really feel that's the best way to learn new ways to communicate. And I've enjoyed speaking with coworkers and friends and other people who have taken this training to learn new ways of communicating through the different languages of love. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.